over here, and we're back once again with Five Nights with Harry's by Harry Lefferts. We are on chapter 13. Last time we left off, we saw what the toys got up to with Erica. Susan came. We had a little bit of Susan and Bones there with Hannah and our aunt at the thing, and we got to see more of Foxy's little crush on her. And then we were also introduced to a new animatronic character called Olive, who unfortunately is another victim of Purple Guy and the puppets. So, yeah. So that's what happened in the last chapter. If you want to go check it out, there is always a playlist, linked right at the end with those card things. So there's a playlist, so you can go check it out. You can check out all the other chapters too if you want to. Anyway, let's get into chapter 13. And as always with these videos, if you want to follow along, there is a chapter link in the description below as always. Theodore looked up from where he had been talking to a damaged wolf animatronic as Opal ran in, looking frightened. Opal? What's wrong? Whimpering, she looked back out in the hallway. She's out and about again. Despite the vague answer, there was actually no need for her to state who she was. Theodore was already running for the door. Liz, get back here now before she catches you! He stood there for almost a minute before a cat-like animatronic ran parallel through the halls before she leapt into the room. And not a moment too soon as Theodore slammed the shutters down and jammed a hunk of rebar through some holes to hold it in place. Slowly, he backed up. There. That should keep her out. A line came from the disabled werewolf animatronic in the corner. Are you sure, big brother? With a grim, he looked at the vents. Opal? Liz? Block those damn vents now. The two worked together to move the heavy crates in front of one of the vents as Liz, her costume fur dull and matted, glanced towards the large form of Theodore. What about Jason and Elric? They're still out there somewhere, and she might catch them. Sighing, Theodore swallowed thickly. Hopefully they have managed to find himself a bolt hole. There's not much we can do, and I'm not sending either of you out there while she's out and about. It was then that a moan echoed from nearby, and the group turned to see what looked like a reddish-yellow foxy with baleful eyes step into view as... Hello, children. Won't you come out play with my little Eric? He's ever so lonely. It twitched for about a minute before it turned to the bundle in its arms and bounced it. It's okay, Eric. He's here. To the animatronic's disgust, the bouncing caused what looked like a rotting arm full of bits of metal to fall out. Twitching madly for a moment, the animatronic outside the window gently tucked it back into the ratty blanket, revealing a child's skull for a moment. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a... Suddenly, she started to shake again before she screamed and looked around wildly. Eric? Eric? Where are you, Eric? Mommy wants you. The bang then seamlessly noticed the animatronics through the glass, and with a screech slammed into the glass as she dropped the bundle. What have you done with Eric? Where's my baby? Baby? Get away from my baby! Are you in there? Bolts of electricity shot through her as she twitched and spasmed before she slumped a bit. After a moment, she blinked and picked up the bundle as she trundled off. Oh, Eric, what are you doing on the floor? It's nearly time for your party. Freddie will be there. Oh, Mommy has your pacifier right here. It then pulled out what looked like a human leg bone, still red, and shoved it into the skull's mouth. There we go. Rock-a-bye, baby, in the treetops. The silly giggles and high-pitched sings slowly faded away with distance as inside the room, Opal shuddered. I don't know if I should pity whoever she is, or just wish that she was destroyed. With a frown, Theodore shook his head. It would be best if we just destroyed her. Let her and her son rest in peace. If we could get close without being attacked. In the corner where she lay, Jessie gulped. Still, she's fucking nuts. An image flashed through all their minds of when they found the destroyed child's coffin in a room and shut before Liz shook it off. No arguments here. She fucking went to a graveyard and dug up either her kid or someone else's. I think he's alive. That he's alive and talks to her. Rubbing her arms, she glanced around. Not to mention killing people who stumble in here, adding bits of them to make him happy, or bringing him back, depending on what part of her is thinking. Opal gagged a bit. Please don't remind me. At least she's becoming comatose more and more often. Maybe in a year or two she won't wake up. Wally shook his head. Theodore glanced over at her. We should be only so lucky. There was another scream of pure insane rage that echoed through the hallways as she started screaming for her baby and telling him she was sorry. Really so sorry. Really so lucky. He shuddered a bit before he turned. Hopefully, though, she'll go back to her room and we can block it up again. Somehow. Grunting, Liz sat on a busted table that was used in the barricade. We've already shoved as much as we can in front of that entry. She still gets through. All Theodore did was shrug as a nursery rhyme drifted past them. Suddenly, there was a bang, which caused them all to jump, and they looked to see that the crazed animatronic had returned and flung herself against the door as she scratched, clawed, and bit like a possessed animal before she stilled, and then picked up the bundle as she walked off. Oh, he's a little boy, such a good boy. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, and here is my... Eric? Eric, baby, where are you? I'm sorry. She didn't mean to hurt you. Come back to Mama, baby. Having whimpered, Jessie sniffled. That was quite the stutter, I'm sorry. I was struggling with the word for some reason. Please come soon, Dawn. Please come soon so that she'll leave. Opening the door, Harry raised an eyebrow at how Erica's car screeched to a halt before said young woman leapt from the car. A moment later, she opened the passenger side door, and a child-sized animatronic otter hopped out and took her hand. It was only after Erica had entered the pizzeria that Harry cleared his throat as he saw a van pull up, as well as Michelle's car. So, what's going on? Erica looked around and took a deep, calming breath. Let's wait until the others get in here, please. Intrigued, Harry nodded, and once they all sat down with the Fazbear gang, Erica ran her hand through her hair. Guys, I want to introduce Olive Ugly Perks. Both the fact of how the animatronic style brightened at that, and how all Erica had referred to her as, caused more than one eyebrow to raise. Coughing into his fist, Harry gave Olive a smile. It's nice to meet you, Olive. Then tilted his head some. I thought her name was just Audibly, though. All Erica did was raise a hand. Before I answer that, Freddie, do you guys sense anything about her? That caused them all to straighten before Freddie frowned as he looked at the nervous otter. After a moment, his eyes widened some, and he nodded. Why, yes, I am sensing that she's like us. Freddie's eyebrows furrowed as he shot Erica a look. How? Within the tone of his voice was a threat, which Erica recognized and nodded at. Well, this I know for sure now. Sighing, she picked up Olive and set her in her lap. Like I told you, I had found her exoskeleton in an old abandoned diner and took it home to rebuild for my school project. Its diner's name was Fazbear's. She was cut off by Rose, who stiffened some. Fazbear's? You're sure that was what it was called? At her nod, Rose sighed and rubbed her face with one paw. Fazbear's Diner was actually where the Fazbear gang played until it closed down, and they eventually reopened it elsewhere as the first Freddy's. From memories, it was also where Marinette, originally was, as he had a puppet show he oversaw. Having noticed their looks, Rose shrugged. Overheard Mom and Dad talk about it once. Her eyes now gentle, Chica looked at Olive. And if the Marinette was there, then we can guess what happened. Grimacing, Erica shook his head. Poor thing you know, since the person who killed her wore purple clothing. Once more, everyone stiffened, and the Fazbear gang, along with surprisingly Harry, growled as their eyes turned black with a white dot in their pupil. gripping the table's edge. Freddie nearly broke it. That utter bloody hand on his arm from Michelle caused him to stop, and when she gestured with her head, he noticed that the toys and Olive looked frightened alongside Lisa and Erica. With a sigh, he calmed down and tipped his hat to them. My apologies. It's just that man brings out the worst in us since he was the one who killed us. Harry rubbed his eyebrows as his eyes went back to normal and sighed. Erica, are you certain? However, she nodded with a sigh of her own. Pretty much. What she told me matches what you guys told me anyways. Uncomfortable some, Bonnie cleared his throat, and he turned toward Olive, who was now back to examining her surroundings curiously. So, Olive. That caught the little animatronic's attention, and she turned towards Bonnie. Would you mind telling us how old you are, and how are you feeling? With a smile from where she sat on Erica's lap, Olive held up the board with 4 claws and a grin. I'm 4. I'm feeling good because Mommy helped me. As her eyebrow raised, Lisa looked toward the embarrassed Erica. Mommy, huh? Nodding rapidly, Olive let herself be moved off of Erica's lap by said woman and sat down next to her. Yep, she's my new mommy now. With a sigh, she leaned against Erica, who just slipped an arm around her shoulders. She fixed me and made all my ouchies go away, just like I've been told Mommy does. So, she must be my new mommy then. And she agreed. Highly amused, Michelle nodded with a slight grin, as Erica reddened. Oh, I see then. That makes sense. Shooting her friend a look, Erica leaned down and smiled at Olive. Honey, do you want to go exploring? The other's eyes widened as she nodded, and her tail wagged from side to side. Okay then, you can go ahead. Just stay in the building, okay? With a laugh, Olive hugged her around the waist. Thank you, Mommy. With that, she took off, and was soon joined by Robbie. Once she was a distance away, Erica's smile became a frown. You guys understand why I told you as soon as I could, right? At their raised eyebrows, she rubbed one finger against the side of her head. Guys, she was left at the old Fredbear's diner. I saw that there was a few endoskeletons that could not really be moved, with her being the most complete. And if there was one there with a child's ghost. While he sucked in a breath, the pieces fell into place. And where there was one, there might be others at the different locations. A nod from Erica caused him to get up. 1 second. There's something that I remember. Just wait here. He walked to the office and soon after returned with a folder and some tapes, as well as a tape player. Found the tapes in the security office in a locked drawer. The folder talks about some other locations, including the old founder's home, which is used as a storage area for animatronic parts. Michelle frowned as she looked over one of the tapes before she opened the tape player. Well, let's hear them then. I'll look over the papers. As he nodded, Harry pressed play on the cassette player and heard a familiar voice. Hello? Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. These tapes will provide you with much needed information on how to handle / climb into / climb out of mascot costumes. Right now, we have 2 specially designed suits that double as both animatronics and suits. So please pay close attention while learning how to operate these suits, as accidents / injuries / death / irreparable and grotesque maiming can occur. Her face one of disbelief. Lisa pointed out the cassette player. Is that some kind of joke? Did he just freaking seriously say that? What she did not notice was how the Fazbear gang and Harry narrowed the eyes before Rose slowly brought up her paw and placed it onto her costume. A wearable suit. It didn't get much better, and the second tape caused Lisa to stand up and shout as she waved her hands in the air. What the frickin' hell is wrong with these people? Did you just tell people that if they're dying to get out of sight, customers would not see the blood? Seriously? Meanwhile, Michelle just rubbed her eyebrows in annoyance. Oh yeah, I'm starting to see why Dad says he hates phone guys so much. Having gone through the tapes, Harry brought out a list and put it in front of the groups. Anyway, this is the location of the various Fazbear restaurants. Lisa took it and examined it before she grabbed a map. Okay, according to this, there's a number of them. Amazingly enough, that lists a few as having closed down. Popping off the top of the pen, of a pen. She began making circles. Now, according to this, the closest place is Fazbear's a few towns over. Then we have 2 Freddy Fazbear Pizza, one in Greater London, and whatever in close to Coke Square in Northamptonshire, which was the one that closed down and reopened here as the pizzeria. Finally, Michelle took a pen and marked down on another section of the map. There is apparently a storage depot for animatronics from Fazbear's here as well, according to the maps. With a frown, Foxy got up and leaned over to get a better look as he flipped his eye patch up. Which one would we be handing first then, mateys? That'd be the question. For a few moments, Harry was quiet before he tapped where Fazbear's was. I think that this would be be easiest. It's not too far away, though I might have Remus and Sirius check it out. As she found herself, Erica tapped the pen against her lip before she then tapped it against the Freddy Fazbear's pizza syringe. I think the best bet might be to hit the one in Midlands first and see what is there, since we have a few here who would know their way around. Meanwhile, Lisa, can you try and find out about the one in London? Let us know how big and the layout. Nodding, Lisa did so. That I can do. She had frowned a bit. She looked over at the one in Northamptonshire and then around them. I wonder why they moved it so far. Chico was the one who answered as she thought it over. They wanted to move as far away from the source of the room as possible, so they came here. It helped some, not much, but some anyways. From where he sat, Freddy nodded. It was just enough to keep us open all these extra years. Scratching on his chin, he frowned at Harry. So, how are you going to do this then? Humming, Harry tilted his head. Well, I'll have to let the local police station know that we'll be entering the building so that they don't mistake us for burglars or vandals. Other than that, I think it would be a good idea if whoever goes brings along some animatronic backup just in case a fight happens. After all, none of us can use magic to fight back. With a grin, Bonnie smacked one closed fist into his open paw. Hey, I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem with that. Another glance at Les caused Lisa to frown. There's a few other sites. It doesn't say if they're open or not. If they are, we can let them know that there's a new ownership if they don't already know. If they're closed, we can investigate. The pen at her fingers twirled around. It's a lot of work, honestly, but I think we can manage. Erica gave a glance to where Olive and Robbie were playing tag before she turned back and grimaced. And if nothing else, we'll get some spare parts if we don't find any more unique animatronics. There were nods and sounds of agreements from the others. With an explosive sigh, Harry leaned back into his chair. Okay, with that decided upon at least, there is one last thing to do. The others all gave him curious looks as he got up and started towards where the offices was. If you excuse me. Having raised an eyebrow, Michelle and the others got up and followed him. They noticed him duck into his office to grab a notepad and a pen before he went outside. Clearing her throat, Michelle gave a bit of a look. So, what exactly are you doing? Harry glanced over at her as he set the notepad down on the hood of Michelle's car. I'm going to write a letter for Remus and Sirius to ask if they could check out Fazbear's and when. As she nodded, Erica scratched her chin. Sounds good. Do they know about us, by the way? Starting to write, Harry frowned a bit. They know that I hired you to take care of Freddy and the others, Erica, but they don't know about either Lisa or Michelle. A thought then occurred to her. Why? Him. Sheepish, Erica raised a finger. Well, you told us about them already, so if they're going back to Fazbear's to check it out, maybe I could come so that I can identify things. Her tone then turned dry. My experience with wizards and witches is that they have issues with anything that's not magical in nature. A soft snort escaped from Harry before he smiled. Sure, I can do that. Michelle raised an eyebrow as she watched the animatronics wander around the darkened parking lot with their night vision mode on. Those eyes are so creepy. She then turned to Harry and coughed. So, why write it now? You won't get to mail it until mornings. Anyway, slowly, Harry smirked before he looked over at the animatronics. Would one of you mind holding out your arm holding one of your arms out straight? Blinking, Rebecca did so. Like this? Not even a moment later, she felt a weight settle on it and looked over with surprise on her face at the snowy owl that now perched on her arm. Uh, Harry? There's an owl on my arm. While he chuckled, Harry nodded. Yes, that would be Hagrid. Just as she was about to say something, Rebecca noticed that Hagrid was slowly moving sideways up her arm and leaned her head away. She's crawling up my arm. As she chuckled, Chica walked over and cooed at Hagrid. Don't worry, Hagrid is a little bit kind bird, aren't you? Hagrid gave her a stare and then barked. Wait, do owls bark? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do owls bark? Anyway, don't worry. I'll go get you some nice bacon bits. Just you wait here. Staring, Michelle noticed that Hagrid had reached Rebecca's shoulder as Chica walked back into the pizzeria and had begun to nuzzle the surprised rabbit animatronic. Why do you have a bird owl? Now highly amused at what she was seeing, Erica chuckled. Wizards and witches use owls to deliver mails and newspapers. Gulping, Rebecca looked over at Harry, slightly nervous. What should I do? Harry glanced back at her and smiled. Gently rub her chest. She likes that. And if she gives you a small nibble, that means she really likes you. With a nervous look, Rebecca brought up her paw and gently brought up her finger, which she rubbed Hedwig's chest. Hey there, Hagrid. The owl looked over at her and nibbled her finger before she closed her eyes in enjoyment. Rebecca just stared at her in awe. She's so beautiful. It likes me. The other toy animatronics, as well as Olive, walked up to watch Hagrid, with Andrew and Chelsea also giving her some strokes, which Hagrid preened under. Seeing this, Harry shook his head. She's gonna get spoiled by them as she does Freddie and the others. It was then that Chica walked out with a newspaper held in her hands, with bacon bits in it. Oh, good, you're still here. She held it out. Okay, everyone, take one piece at a time to feed her. She really likes bacon. Lisa raised her eyebrows. Even Michelle joined in feeding the owl. She's gonna get fat. A moment later, Hedwig gave her a glare after having taken a piece of bacon from Olive as Rebecca had crouched down to give her access. Having seen that, Harry laughed. She does way too much flying to get fat. Besides, it's a treat that she likes. With a nervous chuckle, Lisa looked around before she walked over. Oh, just give her some bacon. Maybe she'll stop glaring at me. Several minutes later, Harry tied the letter to Hagrid's foot and held up his finger when she nipped. Get that to Sirius, okay, girl? With a bob of her head, Hagrid nodded before she spread her wings and took off as the animatronics waved at her. As the owl vanished into the darkness, Rebecca gave a small squeak. That was so amazing! Thoughtful, Freddie rubbed the bottom of his chin as Chica pulled out some sanitizer wipes and began cleaning her and the other animatronics' hands. Now that it's done, what should we do for the rest of the night? Bonnie grimaced a bit at how hard Chica was rubbing the wipe across his hand, as well as the thought that had occurred to him. Well, there's more paperwork to go through. However, he relaxed some as Lisa shook her head. I'll handle that, rather than what happened the other night to happen again. As he leaned back against Michelle's car, Harry found some in thought. Actually, I want to find where the sealed rooms are. With a raised eyebrow, Foxy grunted some as he ran a wipe across the top of his hood. And how do you... hold on, I gotta get the voice again. And how do you expect to find a said room, huh? I'd be the first one for a treasure hunt, Mickey, but they'd be sealed that they'd also be hard to find. All Harry did was grin a bit. Well, if they just put up a wall, then all we need to do is find a space behind the walls. Tapping or knocking against the wall should let us know where they are. There was a moment of silence before Foxy thrust his hook into the air. Arr! You be hearing that, me mateys? It's time for the treasure hunt. He then rushed, followed by most of the others as she called out, I'll make a pizza if we're hungry. After they had all left the inside, Rose walked up to where Harry was still leaning against the car, staring up at the night sky. She then sat down beside him and stared up as well for several seconds before she spoke. Harry, you do realize what event likely caused them to seal up the rooms in the first place, right? Crossing his arms, Harry nodded as his expression turned grave. Yeah, it was likely the murderers. And your suit is a spring suit, Aunt Rose. Rose only nodded as she sighed into the air. Is there any particular reason for you wanting to find them? For several moments, all was silence before Harry grimaced a bit. I have this gut feeling that we're going to need to know where it is. The door to the bedroom was slammed open violently, and a 15-year-old girl poked her head in and scoffed. Wake up, Erica! Said girl sat up in bed with a bad case of bedhead and glared at the girl who was now leaning against the side of the door chewing an apple. What the hell is your problem, Sally Ann? I've been pulling late nights and busting my ass, and you know it. With a scowl, Sally Ann snorted. Yeah, probably clubbing or something. She ignored the ground as she took another bite from her apple. Anyways, it's time for you to wake up. The teen trailed off as she saw Olive sit up in the bed and looked at her. You actually have that in your bed as well? Erica glanced at the saddened Olive and then gave Sally Ann a glare that caused the young girl to flinch. She, not an it, a she. One thicker than just at her. And you should be more respectful of me since I'll be paying your Hogwarts tuition past 5th year. Or have you forgotten that your parents won't pay past then? And if no one comes forward, then you're out of Hogwarts once you finish your owls. That earned her another scoff, though there was an air of unease. What money? You don't make enough for the exchange rate. All she got was a smirk. I got a job in building animatronics for Muggle-raised wizards. Guys would like to pay in half Muggle and half wizard money once I asked. Confused, Sally Ann shrugged it off and turned away. Good for you, I guess? Anyway, I'm heading out, so I'll catch you later. After the sound of her footsteps faded away, Erica slumped back into bed as Olive looked down at her curiously. Sometimes that brat gets to me, though I know she acts like that because she's worried. One eye turned towards Olive before she reached out and grabbed the surprised animatronic and began to tickle her with a grin. Like you, honey. Kick her little feet. Olive squirmed to try and get away. No, Mommy, stop it. For a moment, Erica paused as if in thought before she grinned and began to tickle her with both hands. Nope, kept ready for Erica the Tickle Monster. Once they were finished, a gazing Erica laid back as Olive was slumped against her. Well, that got me in a better mood, dude. Pouting, Olive looked away. That was me, Mommy. While she squealed at how cute the other animatronic looked inwardly, Erica leaned across and gave her a kiss on the forehead. Don't be like that. She glanced at her clock and sighed as she started to get out of bed. Looks like it's nearly time to get up, as is. Having tilted her head, Olive was about to ask why when the robotic cat on the alarm next to her opened its eyes and yelled a yowl as it got up. A moment later, it was walking around, still yelling, which caused Olive to clap her paws against her ears. Make it stop, Mommy! Wincing, Erica grabbed it and pressed a button on the back of its head, which silenced it. Then she put it back on the alarm clock with a sigh. Yeah, sorry about that, Olive. Mommy's alarm clock is one of the new models to help her wake up. Erica had to bite her lip, though, as Olive reached over and poked the cat and jerked her claw away. She then looked up and pouted. I don't like it. With a giggle, the young woman only nodded. Neither does Mommy, Olive, but it helps her wake up. Reaching down, she swept up the small animatronic into her arms, having thrown on a housecoat. Anyways, today will be a bit busy. Laying her head against Erica's chest, Olive sighed as she could hear the heartbeat of her caretaker. Really, Mommy? What are we doing today? Still heading out. Erica tapped Olive on the nose, which caused her to go cross-eyed. Well, today you're coming with Mommy to school. Mommy's special school project was rebuilding you, so she has to show you to her class. A slight whimper escaped from Olive, as the idea of being stared at brought back bad memories regarding her time in Fredbear's as part of the puppet show. I'm scared. Her expression saddened. Erica bounced her son in her arms and kissed her brow. Mommy won't let anything bad happen to you, honey. In fact, Mommy knows that her classmates will love you, her little one, for sure. As they passed Michelle's room, neither of them noticed an eye peeking out at them. You really do make a great mom, Erica. Grunting, Remus threw his weight against a door, which shuddered before it finally opened enough for him to squeeze through, followed by a large dog. Once they were inside, the dog transformed into Sirius, who lit his wand and looked around the old, decaying diner, which he gave a low whistle to. And I thought that criminal was a bit creepy and dark. Beside him, Remus turned on the large flashlight and shined it around. Well, considering the history of the place. A wind passed over his face as he reached up to rub his shoulder. I wonder how that Erica girl managed to get in. In reply, Sirius shined his light over towards a window, where it showed some boards missing, just enough for someone to have crawled in. I think that's how. The wizard then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box, which he enlarged to a properly sized trunk. He then wrinkled his nose some, and with a wave of his wand, cleaned the area before he cast a bubble-haired charm on himself and Remus. There, much better. Remus gave him a suffering look before he started to walk around the small area. We're in a Muggle area, so could you keep the amount of magic down? That was part of the deal for Albus to let you come. No undue attention and keeping out of sight. With a grimace, Sirius walked over to the door and then kicked it, the rotting wood easily having given away. I know, but can you really blame me? This is the first mission that I've been on for a while. Finally, I'm doing something, and it being for Harry is a bonus. Having given him a look, Remus sighed as he walked over to a closet and busted it down before he looked inside. He was getting a bit stir-crazy. That should help. A sound caused him to turn towards Sirius. What was that, Padfoot? As he rolled his eyes, Sirius leaned against the wall with a slight grin. I asked you if you think that there's anything going on between Harry and this Erica person. Searching around some of the decaying crates inside, Remus grunts at the rat scurried out before it was killed by Sirius with a wave of his wand. No, not between Erica anyways. The tone of his voice caused Sirius to raise his eyebrow and ask him at that. You know something, Mooney? His fellow marauder turned slightly and gave a grin before he left the closet. Harry may think that he's being secretive and smart, but I've been his guard for a bit at the pizzeria. Turns out that Erica is not the only one who knows about the animatronics, and he's been hanging out with. Now that really caused Sirius to perk up. Really now? While he clapped his hands, Remus chuckled. Turns out there's two other muggles there who Harry somehow let in on the secret, one of which is a girl called Michelle, and let me put it this way, she has a figure that any witch would be more than jealous over. Seeing that Sirius was about to say something, Remus held up a hand before he shook his head. I'll try to sneak you out when I can so that you can see her, though Harry and her are really in denial over it. I can tell there's something there. A grin spread over Sirius' face as he walked through the door and followed into the diner fully. Let's give it a few months, and if nothing has happened, then we make our moves to get them together. The grin faded some. If there was anyone who deserves some happiness, it's Harry, and if it's with a muggle, then all the power to him, and may whoever be against it keep silent or else. The werewolf nodded with a similar expression on his face. Agreed. Suddenly he spotted something and frowned. Is that something over there? Sirius turned and then frowned before he walked over and looked down at the ground before he picked it up. Doing so revealed what looked like a falling apart metal human skeleton, one that missed the head. Well, seems that we found the first one. Shining his lit wand on it, he grimaced. Pretty rusted, though. Walking past, Remus grabbed something else and picked it up with a frown. He turned around what looked like a skeletal bird made out of metal. To his slight disgust, though, there were some small bones inside it. I think that there's more here than we thought. He shined his flashlight around at the shadows of the room and shivered some. I only hope that there's just animals here. As he put the partial endoskeleton in the trunk, Sirius nodded. Agreed. Once they went through the main area of the old diner, Remus and Sirius broke open the basement door and walked downstairs. After they reached the bottom, Sirius looked around and gave a low whistle. Okay, this place is creepier than the upstairs. As he walked past him, Remus could only nod his head in agreement as he glanced at the boxes and old furniture piled up in various spots. No argument for me. He then frowned a bit and hummed. I wonder if Harry would let me take any of these. That caused Sirius to give his old friend an odd look. Really? That's what you're wondering? However, Remus just shrugged. 50s era items are hot on the market, and a bit of magic as good old TLC can make them look new. If Harry lets me have them, then I could make a tiny profit. At the strange look, he waved a hand around as his eyes caught sight of something. I've had to I've had hold on, I've got this. I've had I've oh, I guess I said it right the first time. I've had to find work wherever I can, Padfoot. Selling furniture and other items after they have been fixed brings in a surprisingly nice amount of money. Slowly, Sirius breaks the confusion. Okay. It was then that he noticed that Remus was waving his wand over something. Got something there, Moody? With a frown, Moody opened the book and started to flip through it. It's a notebook, actually. And looking through it, it talks about the various characters that were being worked on. Like that bird? Its name is... Right, Polly. Both him and Sirius shared a look. He built it because the trained parrot he was using was getting up there in age. Though according to this, soon after he built Polly, the parrot vanished. Remembering the bones, Sirius sighed and rubbed his brow. And judging by the bones, we can guess what happened to it. Then reached over and turned some pages and stopped. What the heck is that? A similar frown to his friend was on Mooney's face as he leaned down. Lakia the space dog? According to this, it was named after a real dog that the Soviets sent into space and died. Though it seems that this Fazbear person was quite angry over what happened, but wanted to honor her with an animatronic. The shadows behind them moved slightly as Sirius scratched his head. A space dog. Why would you send a dog into space? All Moody did was shrug a bit. I honestly don't have a clue. Suddenly, a sigh escaped him. I wish Lily was here. Then we could ask her. Behind them, a shadowy figure slowly slunk over toward them as Remus looked down. Seems that while she was never an actual attraction, Fazbear still had her activated right up until he closed down the diner, though he knows that she was a bit odd. His interest spiking, Sirius looked over at Remus. Oh, how is she odd? With a frown, Moody looked over the pages. Lakia, when he first activated her, was normal, but a few days later started to act like a normal dog, so he kept her out of sight. Over the next couple of years, though, she slowly changed and seemed to go back to what she'd been. Both wizards still for a moment before they whipped around. There, behind them, was a large exoskeleton that watched them curiously as the tail swept from side to side. From its frame hung a few ragged pieces of costume which looked like a strange chute with a broken glass helmet. Sirius was the one who spotted something in the machinery of the endoskeleton. Moody, slowly look right there in the chest. See that doorbell? That's not human, is it? Careful not to start in the animatronic, Remus waved his wand and shook his head. No, it's a dog, a jawbone. Nodding, Sirius took a deep breath. Out of curiosity, what do you think would happen if animal spirit, possessed one of these? The question threw Moody for a loop before he figured out what he meant and frowned. I suppose that with how smart the animatronics are normally, from what I've been told, that the animal spirit might become much smarter over time, possibly human level. As the endoskeleton walked up close to better examine him, Sirius only nodded. Ah, I see. And that's the end of chapter 13. Boy, that was a long chapter. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, be sure to subscribe, make sure you leave a review. Tell Harry, the person who wrote this, what you think. Because maybe that will encourage him to get back into writing. Who knows? Go show some love to the story. There is a link. And I will see you guys next Friday with a new video.